So, hopefully, you've researched Meredith Belbin, read a little bit about him and his theories, and have produced a paragraph or two on that. So, I'm just going to talk you through briefly the 9 team rules. There are more resources in this module in relation to it, so do make sure to go through all of them before writing about the 9 team roles, okay? So, Meredith Belbin's work on team roles or functions is often used to investigate how individuals behave or what functions they perform in a group. Belbin identifies 9 group roles or clusters of behaviour. Now, this does not mean that you need to have 9 people in every team for it to be effective. People will take on multiple roles. As I go through and explain the different team roles, I want you to see which ones apply to you and if you've come across anyone who you could match up with any of the others. Okay, so the first one is the resource investigator. So these are great for their inquisitive natures to find ideas and to bring them back to the team. If you're at the start of a project or setting up a new business, these are great because they'll go out there, they're creative in their thinking, and they're really enthusiastic, great at making contacts, getting maybe a contract or two in for you, great salespeople, etc. So their strengths are that they're outgoing, enthusiastic, explores opportunities, and helps develop contacts. Now, as you'll see, we'll be looking at the weaknesses because you have to be aware that with each of these types that there is a weakness, and then you need to know how to deal with and monitor. So we will be looking at that as we go on through this module. So the allowable weaknesses for the resource investigator and that they might be over optimistic and can lose interest once the initial enthusiasm has passed. And I personally would probably identify kind of with this. I love new ideas and being creative and all the rest. But, when the day to day and the norms kind of fit in, maybe kind of the attention kind of goes or the interest kind of wanes slightly. So don't be surprised to find that they might forget to follow up on a lead. Okay, so again, if you're that sort of person, maybe balance out with someone who has those strengths. And it's all about if we know our strengths and our weaknesses, we can find someone who will help balance us out. Team worker. The team worker helped the team to gel using their versatility to identify the work required and complete it on behalf of the team. Their strengths is that they're cooperative, perceptive, and diplomatic. They listen and avert friction. Now, because they're a team worker, they want to get on with it. They want to get the job done. They don't want to be making unpopular decisions and having arguments because their goal is to get this work done. Their allowable weakness is that they can be indecisive in crunch situations and tend to avoid confrontation because, again, that's going to interfere with getting the work done. So it's about gelling as a team to get the work done. So they're not really going to kind of be sticking their neck out to make kind of big decisions. Don't be surprised to find they may be hesitant to make unpopular decisions. Our third type that we have here is the coordinator. And these are needed to focus on the team's objectives, draw out team members, and delegate work appropriately. So your coordinator could sometimes be your team leader, could be the boss, the manager, whoever in the organisation or on site. Their strengths is that they're mature, confident, identifies talents, and clarifies goals. So definitely team leader all over this. Their allowable weakness is that they can be seen as manipulative and might offload their own share of the work. So perhaps you have a boss who's very good at delegating and leaves nothing for themselves to do. And that's not always a good thing because we do like to feel that everybody is working hard. So don't be surprised to find that they might over delegate, leaving themselves with little or nothing to do. Okay, on to our next set of 3. Plant. Okay, the plant tends to be highly creative and good at solving problems in unconventional ways. Their strengths is that they're creative, imaginative, free thinking, they generate ideas and solve difficult problems. So your problem solver is what we have here. Their allowable weakness is that they might ignore incidentals and may be too preoccupied to communicate effectively because they are so intent on solving the problem. They're so focused, their head is right in there, that they might forget that they had a meeting with you, that they might forget to communicate that this is actually going to take an extra 3 hours to complete or whatever. So, again, the communication might lapse because they're so focused in on solving this particular problem. Don't be surprised to find they could be absent minded or forgetful. Again, focused. Next up, halfway there, is the monitor evaluator. They provide a logical eye, making impartial judgments where required, and weighs up the team's options in a dispassionate way. I would often think of this role as a judge, the financial controller who's like weighing it up and saying, oh gosh, no, best not buy that piece of equipment because it'll take 5 years to pay back. It'll have to be out all the time, and the maintenance, and that'll have to be out with a driver, and etc. etc. And so that they'll go through every aspect of it. They're not someone who'll say, yeah, kind of, I'll just kind of make a snap decision on it. They will want to know every detail. If they were buying a car, they might want to know the fuel efficiency, the road tax for the year, all of the minor details of it. So, again, they're going to want to drill down into every aspect. Their strengths is that they're sober, strategic, and discerning, and they see all options and judge us accurately. So, the weakness is that they sometimes lack the drive and ability to inspire others and can be overly critical. Because if you've got somebody sitting in the room going, no, 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 that wouldn't work, because that it can put a little bit of a dampener when you've got great ideas and you really want to push things forward. But at the end of the day, we do need someone like that in order to make sure that we're not going off on a wild goose chase. So don't be surprised to find out they could be slow to come to decisions because, again, they're going to want to know all the information. Our sixth type then is we have our specialists. So they bring in depth knowledge of a key area to the team. Their strengths is that they're single minded, self starting, and dedicated. They provide specialist knowledge and skills. Okay, so if you've got a specialist, a craftsperson who's absolutely great at their job, they're going to get this to a really high standard. The weakness is that they tend to contribute on a narrow front and can dwell on the technicalities because they want every single detail of this to be right. Don't be surprised to find they overload you with information. So they will want to give you all of the details because they're very passionate about what it is that they do. They've got in-depth knowledge and they really want you to understand fully. Okay, we're on to our final three. The next one we have here is our shaper. Now, I am absolutely sure that if you've worked on a site, you have come across this person in the past. They provide the necessary drive to ensure that the team keeps moving and does not lose focus or momentum. Their strengths is that they're challenging, dynamic, they thrive on pressure, and have the drive and courage to overcome obstacles. Okay, I want you to think about this one. Their weakness, they can be prone to provocation and may sometimes offend people's feelings. So, from my experience, and especially kind of on sites, maybe I've come across a couple of foremen that could fit this role where they're making sure the project gets done. They mightn't be too sensitive to people's feelings, but they push, push, push in order to get the job done. So, I don't know if you've come across those. Don't be surprised to find that they could risk becoming aggressive and bad humoured in their attempts to get things done. Okay. Second last one is our implementer. So, our implementer are needed to plan a workable strategy and carry it out as efficiently as possible. So these are like our project managers. They're going to plan, they're going to have a system, they're going to make sure that things happen in an orderly, sequential manner, and they'll make sure that the materials are ordered in time, that everything runs smoothly. So that their strengths is that they're practical, reliable, efficient, they turn ideas into actions and organises the work that needs to be done. Okay, so these are the people who plan. every detail, kind of whether it's a night out, a holiday, we'll have them in all different aspects of our lives. And hopefully, kind of, we're lucky enough, kind of, we have people like this around us, or maybe you're one of these people who loves planning things. Their allowable weakness is that they can be inflexible and slow to respond to new possibilities because they have put so much effort into creating this plan that they really don't want to relinquish it or change it kind of too much because they have really worked into this. And don't be surprised to find they might be slow to relinquish their plans in favour of positive changes. Okay. And finally, our completer finisher. In relation to a site, I'd often associate this with the snagger, the person doing the snag lists. Okay, so these are most effectively used at the end of tasks to polish and scrutinise the work for errors, subjecting it to the highest standards of quality control. Now, again, your team leader, your boss, etc., could also be fulfilling this role. Again, there'll be certain types of roles that we'll see, be it leaders kind of take on, etc. Their strengths is that painstaking, conscientious, anxious, search out for errors, polishes, and perfects. And I definitely identify my father as this, where everything has to be millimeter perfect. So hanging a curtain pole could take several hours nearly. So, but you know what? It's always done perfectly. Their allowable weakness is that they can be inclined to worry unduly and reluctant to delegate because they mightn't feel that someone else could do it to the standard that they think is necessary. So don't be surprised to find that they could be accused of taking their perfectionisms to extremes. Okay, so that is our 9 different personality types. Just going to have a little look as to how these actually pan out, so that we've actually grouped them into 3 different types. We've got our thinking type, so our monitor evaluator, the one who wants to see all the options before judging. We have our plant and we have our specialist, so they would be the more thinking type roles. We've got our action, our doer type people, our shaper, the person who's going out there and making the contacts, our completer finisher, and our implementer. And then we have our people types. So our resource investigator, sorry, the one going out, talking to people, our coordinator who's organising all the people in the team, and the team worker who likes getting along kind of with people. So we've got our thinking, action, and people roles. And generally kind of people will tend to, by and large, stay kind of within that. You won't always take on the same role in each team. If you have been playing with your football team from the age of 8 and you're now captain of your football team, then that's fine. You're the leader kind of within that group. However, when you go out to site at the start of your apprenticeship, you're not going to be the leader because it's, you don't have the experience and the knowledge, etc. So you will take on a different role. So again, kind of in different environments, you are going to have different roles. So just to summarise here, that it's perfectly possible for people to adapt to different team roles at different times. Although you may recognise your personality type in the descriptions above, you will almost certainly adopt different roles in different scenarios. Team roles often become more prevalent when a team or group has had time to reach maturity and develop cohesiveness. So, what I'd like you to do now is to give me your description of Belbin's 9 team roles, the different types of personalities, and just if you can pop down maybe a couple of strengths and a couple of weaknesses for each type. Because later we will be seeing how the different strengths and weaknesses can work together.